Good morning. Is the divine awakening within you? Or is it already awake? The reason for practicing meditation is not simply to clear or to calm the mind by connecting with our breath, to bring ourselves to the moment. It's also to understand that the mind itself is a trickster. The mind is a monster. No matter what avenue you go down, if you search through logic or reason, you will find yourself within a labyrinth. Because the truth ultimately can only exist in the now. And it must be experienced at the level of heart, as a feeling, as a knowing. And this is why the artificial intelligence, the computerized logic, the reasons of the past cannot hold truth, because truth is engagement with human consciousness in the heart, in the now. Now you think, how can consciousness be in the heart? Consciousness is in the head, but actually consciousness is not in the head. Consciousness simply is. We move through it. Just because we use eyes, which are mirrors, to see, does not make the consciousness in your eyes. Because when you close your eyes, you can also dream, and that is another form of consciousness. So you see, it is not your eyes that are seeing consciousness. They are mirroring the universal consciousness reflecting to you, which is an experience that we move through. And we cannot move through it without our heart. It is why it is the first organ to grow in us when we are in the womb. And when it stops beating, you are dead. That is why people can be alive when their brains stop or their minds decay. But when the heart stops beating, that is death. So the heart is our essential connection to life, and what fuels the heart? Our first oxygen is our breath. So by meditation, we take ourselves back out of the mind space, which is operating in labyrinths of thought, beliefs, hopes, ideas. We take it back to be in the receptive state, because in the receptive state we can now receive consciousness as it washes over us as a being, not as a body. The body is merely the vessel, just like a scuba suit. If you want to go under the water, the body is your vessel to move through this experience. But it's a very intelligent vessel. It's alive. The skin is alive. Every cell is alive, partaking in the ever-flowing narrative of consciousness upon this earth. All things that happened here happen here, will happen here, are known to the earth. They must be part of the earth to stay here. And with each breath, we connect to the earth. We listen to her, we hear her creatures, all that life that is alive around us. And it may not speak to us, but it is still conscious. It is part of consciousness, that one consciousness, in different states of consciousness. As I said, dreaming is still a state of consciousness or a form of consciousness. How do you know the grass is not dreaming? How do you know the alligator that sleeps is not dreaming? Is it dreaming you? Every artist must know that at the level of the I, the ego, we can only perceive that consciousness which is available. But as soon as we try to claim ownership of it, we fall into that trap of possession, possessiveness, that we suffer by, with envy, with doubt. For we forget that the consciousness that we tap into through the lens of the I that perceives the consciousness, but we are not it. It is not ours as a possessive. It belongs to all existence. And as artists, as every human is truly an artist, for you cannot spell heart without art, every human has the opportunity to perceive, experience consciousness, and share it back. To take it in, breathe life into it, and give it back. Knowing that it cannot be possessed. This is the natural cycle of things. We take money in, we give it back, we invest it, we purchase from others, we share it, we offer it, we use it. This is the natural cycle and flow of life. Is there an ego? Yes. But the ego does not need to rule you. The ego's base is in the center of your chest, right below your heart. That is the heart. That is the heart of the ego. But the heart rules it. The heart is above it. If the heart rules the ego, then all is well. For then the heart, which always connects to earth, where it comes from, which gives us life, if the heart rules the ego, then all is well. Then you are living in faith, in trust, in knowing, because the true knowing is not here, in the perceiving, it is here, in the receiving. When you receive that which hits the mark, as they say, that which fits, then you know. You say, I understand. Thank you. Gratitude. Humility. This is all the universe wants of us. More humility, more gratitude. So we sit in meditation to remind ourselves to be less in the head and more in the heart. The mind is a wonderful thing in its perceiving, but if the heart is not receiving the message, if the heart is not guiding our attention, our investigation, our inquests into the world with an understanding, a receptivity, and a gratitude, then we are lost in mind. And this is where so many people are lost, misguided by their minds that are so powerful. Their minds that will take them in so many different directions of inquiry, but ultimately never recognizing the labyrinth that they enter until they can step back with the deep breath of heart's gratitude and humility in knowing that all is one, everything is connected, and guided. And so at this age, we are being asked to take our hearts back, to let them be the chief, the king, the captain of our being, our journey through consciousness. And as we do so, we become increasingly sovereign. But again, humility and gratitude are the basis of our sovereignty. Humility and gratitude are the basis of wisdom, and wisdom is the greatest attribute of any ruler. Wisdom is in the moment. It is not based on arbitrary rules, arbitrary laws, fixed things that are dead. For what lives in the moment is alive. What existed in the past may be relevant for educational purposes, but cannot be fully applied to this moment, which is always a unique experience. Never forget that. Every moment is a unique experience. The deeper you feel it, the more you're getting out of it. Many are concerned for what is coming now. There is no real need for concern. There is only need for choice. The Great Reset is metaphorically a resetting of ourselves, of our beings. We are being energetically washed. Energetically cleansed and bathed by this trial, tremendous trial. 2020 was eye-opening for many. For the Great Awakening was predicted by the ancients, by many secret sects. They referred to this time as the Golden Dawn, or the rising sun. And what does the rising sun indicate? It indicates morning, when you awaken. So they always spoke to you of this time. And until you see it clearly with your own sense of self, sight, inner eye, it was impossible to perceive it. But now you feel it. And what can feel like being swallowed, what can feel like the crushing, tearing feeling of being swallowed, can also, don't forget, be the birth process through the canal. We are actually going through a birth process, not a death. But it is a choice point, an inflection, if you want to say, between those who will stay to be part of this great new age of the water bearers, those who carry the wisdom and the knowing and the sense of self, confident that self is connected to all. The one and the many are the same. As you enter this time, you are making your choice. Where do you stand? This is a planet of free will. That will not end. It will not change.